Hello, everyone. I want to share on something I've titled The Power of Persistence. The Power of Persistence. Some years ago, when I started my PhD journey, I remember during my orientation ceremony, one of the professors who came to speak to us at that time said something very profound that has just stuck with me over the years. He said that a PhD is not a test, or this PhD that you're about to do is not a test of your intelligence. Rather, it is a test of your persistence. And I remember having a very puzzled look on my face, and I think maybe a couple other people might have had that look on their face because he then went on to explain what he was saying. And so he said, if you have made it to this point where you qualify to do a PhD, and more so in this institution, and more so in this program, right, in this college where I was in at that time, which was College of Pharmacy, UT Austin, which is a top college of pharmacy in the United States. So he said, if you have made it into this particular program, then the chances that you have the requisite intelligence needed to complete this program is very high. You have demonstrated that you have the required level of intelligence. And so what will determine whether or not you make it through this journey is not whether or not you're smart, it is whether or not you can persist. Because of how the journey will be. There will be a lot of setbacks, there will be a lot of obstacles, there will be a lot of things on the way that would then determine if you are able to make it to the end. And then, of course, he went ahead to give us tips, or, things to think about, things to put in place to help us as we embark on that, as we go on our PhD journey. And I remember saying to myself multiple times over the 6 years while I was doing my PhD that this professor was correct. This professor was correct. Statistics say that anywhere between 30 to 50% of people who start a PhD eventually drop out. And while going on that journey, I'm like, yes, I can see and understand why that is the case. However, it was on that journey that I then learned that, look, the process, the road, the pathway to achieving any goal, anything that is worth achieving, is paved by obstacles, is paved by challenges. And at the end of the day, one of the things, while there are many ingredients for success, right, there are many things that must come together to bring you the goal that you want to achieve. One of the most important things that you must have or you must develop is persistence. Persistence, by definition, just already implies that you're going to meet roadblocks. You're going to meet things on the way that will stand as difficulties, things that will make it very tough for you. And so your persistence is the ability to withstand those tough situations. Your persistence is the ability to stay on course despite the many challenges or obstacles that you may face. Personally, I cannot even count the number of challenging situations that I encountered, both personally and academically, as I worked on my project. But the character trait, the ability to say, look, okay, this is the goal that I want to achieve. This is where I want to get to. Now I'm at this point, and there is an obstacle. There is something that is very discouraging. I cannot give up. What can I do? I think a lot of times when we set out for goals, when we set out to do great things, when we start, we're very excited, right? We're very excited. We have all these plans. We're kicking off things. We're launching things. We're very excited. And we have all these dreams about success. But one of the things I tell people is, what is your strategy for setback? What is your strategy for failure? What is your strategy for when things do not go the way you expect it to? What is your strategy when you are faced with the inevitable challenges that will come when you are trying to achieve something that is worth achieving? What is your strategy? Have you thought about that? Have you prepared your mind ahead for that inevitable situation. This can be the thing that determines whether or not you're going to make it, whether or not you're going to achieve your goals. Many times it won't be because you're not smart enough. It won't be because you don't have enough talent. It won't always be because your ideas are not the best. It might just be that your persistence has not been developed, that you have not learned how to stay, how to put your eyes, how to focus on a goal to the point where you become so one with it that you're like, everything, every obstacle I face, every challenge I face, you bring it and make it a part of that process. So your persistence, your ability to stay on track, your ability to insist that you are going to continue despite setbacks, despite discouragement. Look, you must be ready. If you're not ready for discouragement, if you're not ready for the things that will show up that are so unexpected, if you're not ready for curveballs, if you're not ready for twists and turns, if you're not ready for the dreams and the things you've written to look like nonsense, like to look like nothing is actually happening or materializing in the direction of the goals that you're moving towards, then you're not yet ready to actually achieve those goals. So today, I want you to sit and begin to ask yourself, a lot of us, we'll have dreams, we'll have things we want to achieve, but what is your strategy for setbacks? What have you told yourself? Have you made a commitment with yourself that, look, except I have exhausted all means possible, except I have looked, I have tried, I have given my best, and I have come to see that, okay, this is no longer a viable goal, a viable path, a viable thing to pursue, then I'm not going to give up. Have you told yourself that, okay, even if, say, for example, you launch something, you plant something, you set something, and it doesn't happen the way you expect it to, what have you decided that you're going to do? Are you going to fold it up, or are you going to say to yourself, okay, what can I learn from this experience? This thing that did not go the way I expected it to go. Is it because there is something I have not learned? Is it because there is something else that I need to put in place to make it work? You can't just give up. This is me coming to you to say you cannot just give up. The year is just starting, or rather, we're already in the second month of the year. Well, it's still the beginning of the year. And for some of us, the things that you thought you would achieve in January, January might have felt like, look, nothing I put on paper happened. But would you give up? Or would you go back? Would you go back to the drawing board and say, okay, if it did not work this way, is there another way for it to work? Persistence is the thing, or is one of the major things that will set you apart, that will set apart the people who are just dreamers and speakers and hopers and wishers and all of these things. It is one of the things that will stand in the way to say, look, this thing that you're saying you want, do you really want it? The way you're able to deploy persistence will show whether or not you truly want the things you say you want, whether or not you truly believe in the goals that you say you have, the ideas, the dreams that you say you have. And so this is one thing I want to tell you. It can be very overwhelming when, there is a disappointment, when things do not happen the way you expect it to. It's okay. Take some time. For me personally, when I'm very close to something and I'm working so hard and I'm just in that space where I'm trying to just go like focus. When things are not necessarily coming out the way I expect it to, I then like to retreat. I like to take some time back. I call it the zoom out effect. I like to take a zoom out effect and then pause and say, is there something that I'm missing? Is there something I'm not seeing? Is there something that, I'm putting in the wrong place? Or is there just something else? Is there a way I can tweak my approach to this? So that is one of the strategies. Like, instead of just giving up and saying, no, this is not working, this is not this, like, take your time take some time away. Do the zoom out. Remove yourself from the nitty gritty granular details and take a zoom out and ask questions. Ask yourself, is there someone I can talk to? Is there another perspective that I can get on this matter that can bring a new, a fresh perspective to what is going on, right? So that's one thing you want to do when you are on your process, when you are in that place where you're trying to achieve something. And that's why the beauty of having peers, having people that you can talk to, mentors, coaches, people who can help you, who can bring in an objective perspective different from yours, always helps when you are working towards a goal. Another thing that you must prepare your mind for is that the factor of time. When you plant a seed, there is such a thing as the time it takes for that seed to come to maturity. There is such a thing as the time it takes for you to see the fruit and the evidence of the seed that you have planted. And so you must keep watering that seed. You must keep tending to the thing you've planted. You must keep at it, knowing fully well that at the fullness of time, at the fullness of the season, then you will see the fruit. But if you are so impatient, if you're someone who is, used to this, instant gratification, if you cannot enter into a place of delayed gratification, then it's going to be very difficult for you to persist, for you to keep at something. So you want to understand that there is a time factor, and working as something repeatedly for time is required a lot of times for you to then see the maturity and the fruit that you have been looking for. So you can't get discouraged when you try something and then 1 month later it looks like it's not yielding, or talk to people who have achieved things, and they will tell you how sometimes it was the 7th iteration, the 7th year of doing that thing that they finally broke through. So you can't give up. Imagine they gave up on the way. You can't give up. There is a time factor. I remember when I was working on designing my study, I did a very large study. But I remember that from the point where it was an idea in my heart or in my mind that, okay, I want to do a study in this target population, to the point where that idea, that gap that was identified in that population, then became a study design. I didn't say executing the study, a design that was a scientifically valid, scientifically rigorous design that can then give birth to a robust research. From the point of just getting that idea to being able to fully have a fleshed out study design took me almost 1 year. It took almost 1 year. I'll do one framework, it will not work. It took me almost 1 year just to come up with a valid, a rigorous study design because of the type of study I was doing. And so that ability to stay on track, knowing that, look, no matter how long it takes, there will be a time factor. You can't get frustrated when it looks like in 1 hour, in 2 hours, in 1 month, in 1 day, in 1 week, in whatever it is, things are not showing up the way you expect it to. Keep at it. No matter what it, keep at it. I do agree that there are times when, there might be a need to stop something. But for you to stop, you need to have come to a point where you have looked at all viable options and you have said, look, it's no longer worthwhile to continue this path. Then you can allow yourself and not just stop, not just give up. Instead, you can pivot into something new. I hope this has helped. This year, as you go forward, remember that the power of persistence, your ability to stay on course, to encourage yourself, to put strategies for setbacks, to remind yourself that even If I face a setback, I'm not going to give up. This is probably one of the things that would ensure that eventually you see the fruit of all the effort, all the seeds that you're planting. I hope this has helped. I wish you all the best as you continue on your journey towards your goals.